Afternoon, peeps. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, let's see what else apart from Calm Brook is going on in boxing world. Before we do that, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the videos. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's start with this one. Richard Riakporhe versus Fabio Turchi is on March 26 in London. I think Richard Riakporhe headlines that as well. Remember last time, I think he was down as the headline, but Florian Marcoux fought last. Do you remember that? When he beat Duradollar. Who's this? I'm not quite sure who this opponent is. Let's have a quick look and see who this guy is he's fighting and the record. Fabio Turchi, 20-1. Of those 20 wins, 14 knockouts. A southpaw from Italy. His last fight, he fought a guy who was 6-18. Before that, though, he did fight Dillian Brejon, who he beat, and that was for the European Cruiserweight title. Got beat by Tommy McCarthy back in 2019 by split decision. So he's been there or thereabouts. What would you class him as? European level? There or thereabouts. I guess it's a decent matchup for Richard Riakporhe. I kind of want to see more, but Richard Riakporhe's only had, 13, 14 fights. He's still very, very new to this, isn't he? But he is 32 now, so they do need to speed it up. Let's not forget, I know he had his time outside the ring because of injuries, and I think there were some issues contractually with Dillian Whyte as well. But let's not forget, a couple of years ago, people were talking about him versus Lawrence Okolie. I mean, Lawrence Okolie's gone, right? Like, completely gone. You can't even see him in the distance now. So that fight looks like it will never happen. But that's what they were talking about when Richard Riakporhe beat Tommy McCarthy and Chris Billiam Smith. It was like, okay, Lawrence Okolie versus Riakporhe. So he has kind of, unfortunately, because of those, year and a half out of the ring, he's missed a step. So they might need to kind of jump the queue a bit with Richard Riakporhe if they're hoping for those big world title fights or big money fights at least. But yeah, good luck to him. March 26, that's the same day as Kiko Martinez and Josh Warrington, isn't it? Interesting they chose to go head-to-head with that. Katie Taylor focused on Serrano, then wants McCaskill and Cameron. Jeez. Obviously, McCaskill will be a rematch of the fight they already had. McCaskill now fighting at 147, undisputed at 147. So is Katie Taylor talking about going up or maybe bringing McCaskill down? I'm not quite sure. And Chantal Cameron's in that. She fights Callie Reese for an undisputed at 140. So, I mean, look, these are kind of the fights where, look, say she were to beat, first of all, Serrano, which is going to be a tough fight for Katie Taylor, I really think it is going to be, and then fight McCaskill, and then fight Chantal Cameron, who I think is going to beat Callie Reese. I mean, look, this is all dream world stuff, but that's massive. And then she were to end. So look, hear me out here. She beats Serrano, she beats McCaskill, she beats Chantal Cameron, and then calls it quits. That's GOAT status. Like, GOAT status. I know that Clarissa Shields says she's the GOAT. If Katie Taylor were to do that, then she jumps over Clarissa Shields easily. That's ridiculous, that would be. I'm not quite sure. Jacob's manager says that Danny got robbed, can't reward bad judging, deserves another big fight. I don't think he's going to get another big fight, Danny Jacobs. I don't know if they class John Ryder as a big fight, by the way, but I don't think he'll get another big fight. He'll get a fight, Danny Jacobs, because he looked good in the first 6 rounds. Did tire in the second half, but I thought did enough to nick it. I said I gave it to him 7-5, 8-4. So he'll probably get a fight. I'm not quite sure who at 168. Not quite sure. There are names out there. But he'll get a big fight anyway. Danny Jacobs, he's known in America as a former world champion at the weight below. And because of the fact that I think, and a lot of people think he won the fight, he'll get one more. What I did see today, and I really want to talk about it, I can't see it here in my list, but I do want to talk about the George Kambosos, Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney situation. It does look like it will be Vasyl Lomachenko who travels to Australia to fight George Kambosos. I think the reason being, well, there's a couple of reasons actually. Number one, I think it's the WBA that have ordered it as a mandatory now for Kambosos, which is going to be interesting when it comes to them discussing money, which I think's already been done, by the way. But number two, I think Vasyl Lomachenko was willing to take a hit on what he maybe wants to make sure that he gets the opportunity. So I think Top Rank are going to pay well, but I think the majority of that money will go to George Kambosos, and I think Vasyl Lomachenko will definitely take sort of low ball money to make the fight happen, knowing that there is a rematch in there, and if he wins, and I really expect him to win, then he'll make the lion's share in the rematch. Whereas maybe Devin Haney wanted a bit too much money. I think Devin's coming out now on social media and saying things like, oh, no, I'll take what Loma's taken just to make the fight. But I think he might have missed the opportunity. I think he might have missed it. So I think Kambosos will fight Loma. It's weird how some Devin Haney fans have gone on social media and said mad nonsense. Like, oh look, he's ducking Devin. He's fighting Loma. Like, there is no, like, I don't know how much of a boxing fan these Devin Haney fans are, but you can't duck Devin and fight Loma. You honestly, you just can't. I'm sorry. I'm actually a Devin fan, but Devin ain't no Lomachenko. Devin's good, and in years to come, I might look back at this statement and say I was wrong. I don't think I were. I don't think I will be, but I might, and Devin could prove me wrong, and Devin could go on to do crazy things. But right now, as it stands right now, today, the 16th of February, 2022, Loma's a level above Devin Haney. I'm sorry, he is. So I actually think this is a ridiculously tough fight for Kambosos. Like, if it was Kambosos versus Devin, by the way, in Australia, I think that's a 50-50 scrap. In fact, I'd probably edge to Kambosos. I probably would. I mean, especially after looking how we looked against Teofimo Lopez. But against Loma, I think Loma's coming back with those belts. I really do. And I think if they were to have a rematch, I think Loma wins that as well. I think there's still a lot left in Vasyl Lomachenko. I have to admit, I was a bit worried after the Teofimo Lopez fight. I was like, he's had a lot of fights in his career, especially as an amateur. The body's starting to break down, and he relies on that ability to kind of spin and move, and he uses a lot of his hands. And I thought, oh my God, okay, he's in trouble. The shoulders are starting to go. But I think he's proved me wrong. I think those two wins since the Teofimo Lopez fight has proved to me that there's a lot left. There really is. And I think honestly, I don't even think it's, and I feel like I'm maybe being disrespectful to George Kambosos here, but I just think Loma's a level above, like a level above. So yeah, and you know what it is as well. As much as Devin Haney versus George Kambosos would have been an undisputed fight, I don't think there's anyone. When someone's undisputed in a division, like without a shadow of a doubt, they're number one. Like you think, okay, they're number one. Like Josh Taylor right now is the number one 140 pounder. Canelo, 168 pounds, the number one 168 pounder. Whoever were to have won between Usyk and Fury, the number one heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? You literally can go through most weight classes like that. I don't think anyone would have said like that Kambosos or Haney was the number one 135 pounder. Not when Loma and Gervonta Davis are in a division. You just wouldn't have said it. So yes, and it would be nice to have seen an undisputed fight. But me, when I think of an undisputed fight, I think, okay, I'm crowning the number one in the division. I never would have thought the winner of Kambosos Haney would have been that. True story. Never would have thought that. So I'm a fan of Loma. So I am a fan of this fight. I'm a fan to see what Lomachenko can do. He's not going to worry about traveling and fighting in front of fans. He's done that for his whole amateur career. Although this is likely to be in a big stadium, and look, he's going to get booed and all that kind of good stuff. I don't think that matters for him. I really don't think that matters. I think we saw that with Usyk when he fought AJ. These guys will travel. Doesn't mean anything to them. It really doesn't. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not quite sure what Eddie's going to do with Devin if Devin doesn't get the fight. I'm not sure. Whoever he fights, unless it's Ryan Garcia or Gervonta Davis, there's going to be some pushback on it. There's going to be like, oh, you're not fighting the best guys. You're the champion, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the only other name, really, and it won't happen, is the winner of Shakur Stevenson, Oscar Valdez, coming up to 135 pounds, because I think the winner will go up. That ain't going to happen, though, is it? He's not going to fight them. And that fight, you're talking, if Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson's April 30th, you're talking, that's going to be happening in September, October. It's more likely, the more likely fight out of all of that I just mentioned is Loma fighting Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, both with top rank, and that's a big pay-per-view fight, I think. I think it is. I think it's a big pay-per-view fight. You got the unbeaten Shakur Stevenson coming up, having unified at 130, fighting one of the pound-for-pound greats in Lomachenko. It's a big fight, that one. So that's more likely. But for now, it does look like, according to several outlets, Mike Coppinger, Michael Benson, that it will be Vasyl Lomachenko and not Devin Haney going to Australia to take on George Kambosos. Good luck to both. Should be a great fight. And credit to Kambosos as well, because I know the WBA have ordered it as a mandatory, but initially this is all voluntary talk. You don't take you don't call out Loma or pick Loma as a voluntary unless you've got a big set of kahunas. You really don't. You really, really don't. So good luck to him. What else have we got? Benavidez promoter on fighting Demetrius Andrade. He brings nothing to the table. Money needs to be right. I heard that Benavidez wants something like $7 million. Oh, God, I just don't know. Benavidez wants $7 million to fight Demetrius Andrade. 7 million? 7 what? 7 what? Let me have a look at Benavidez' career before I start to go into him now. Because what has Benavidez done in his career in terms of, like, what kind of pay-per-view numbers has he done? None, because he's never fought on pay-per-view. I mean, does this guy sell out stadiums or something? Like, what is he thinking he's achieved? And I like Benavidez, I do, I really do. But what does he think he's achieved to somehow warrant $7 million? Like, well, let me have a look at his career. Let's go. Medina, back in 2017. Garville, back-to-back fights. One was a split decision. Kind of wasn't. I thought he won that fight. Jalion Love, Darrell, Angulo, Ronald Ellis, Kyron Davis. What am I missing? What am I missing here? What am I missing? What we talking? What are we talking? $7 million. Get out of here, man. This is the problem with these fighters. Like, if I didn't know about that figure, what you would have, you'd have a situation where Benavidez will say something like, I wanted to fight Demetrius Andrade and Demetrius Andrade's team didn't make it. They didn't make it because of $7 million. Because Demetrius Andrade is not going to be scared of Benavidez. Good fight as well. It's just a shame. Just a shame. Anything else? A bit here about Prograis and putting in work for Tara McKenna. Prograis' stock has dropped massively. Like, I don't know what is, like, why the hell is Regis Prograis, well, he's getting paid, but why is Regis Prograis, apart from the getting paid, fighting Tara McKenna? What is going on? Regis Prograis, arguably the number 2 140-pounder out there, like number 2. Crazy. Honestly, crazy. All right, what else have we got? Anything else of any interest? This is interesting. Jaron Ennis versus Castillo Clayton. The IBF have ordered. I'm laughing because Castillo Clayton. Oh God. I hope he doesn't fight him. I really do. And this is, I feel bad. I feel like I'm dissing Castillo Clayton. I'm not dissing Castillo Clayton, by the way. But if like I'm not joking. As good as his record is, Castillo Clayton, by the way. Like, if Conor Benn said he's fighting Castillo Clayton next, fucking social media would have a meltdown. Regardless of the fact he's unbeaten, they'd have a meltdown. Like, Castillo Clayton's 34. He last fought Cameron Crowell, who was 18 and 19. That was his last opponent. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. He fought DeMarcus Corley. You know DeMarcus Corley. Chop DeMarcus Corley back in 2019, just a couple of years ago. Fought DeMarcus Corley. And that's who the IBF have ordered should fight Jaron Ennis, who everyone thinks is one of the best, if not top 3, top 4, 147-pounders in the world. I don't know. Anything else before we pack and go? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me have a quick look at what Mr. Old Coppinger's saying. Good old Mike Coppinger always has something to say, doesn't he? Okay, a bit here about GGG actually. GGG is now back in training camp and they're hoping for a date with Murata for early April. Again, I think the plan will be for GGG to have the fight of Murata in April, Canelo to fight Dimitri Bivol in May, and then Canelo or the winners, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here, by the way, the winners fight each other in September. Obviously, if you're the zone, you're hoping the winners are GGG and Canelo. Yeah, a bit here about a bit more on the George Kambosos Loma fight. Loma's definitely taking lowball money here to make this fight happen. And that's because he's so sure he'll win that he knows, it gives him all the belts back, but in the rematch, he then gets the lion's share. So I think it's a smart play from Lomachenko, I really do. Especially at this stage of his career. Like this is the fight you want. Like Loma's in a difficult position because no one, well, apart from Kambosos now, no one's going to fight Loma on a voluntary, is it? But now with the belts, and I think Loma will win, he makes himself a more attractive proposition, doesn't he? All right, guys, I think that's it. We are done. I'm going to go home and sleep because I'm actually still a bit jet lagged. Peace and love.